領域展開。
Yo, what is up? Um, this is my deck. It is the 97 Toyota MR2 GT Turbo. The reason I call it that is because I like that car and I didn't know what else to name my deck, and then technically you can just name it whatever. So I named it 97 Toyota MR2 GT Turbo. As you can see, we're running Fire Lorraine. I used this yesterday. At the time of recording this, I used this yesterday for my local in-store championship. Top 8 was guaranteed prizing. I got sixth place. I got 4 silver packs and then some metal counters, like some just to like have counters. But let's get into it. I guess let's get into the profile. I don't know. It's my first time doing this. So, out of 3 rounds, out of I believe 16 or 20 people, I got top 6, or I topped 6th, and then I was playing Fire Lorraine. The reason behind me choosing Fire Lorraine was that she's currently meta to my locals or to my shop. It's either you either see a Lorraine player or you see a Rye player at my shop. But I like Lorraine a lot. I like the warrior class. A lot of the class bonuses I really like just for the damage. Same thing with why I chose fire. Originally I was playing Wind Lorraine with the Veiling Breeze and just bringing out Phalanx with Banner Knights, but I found that just relying on having to build a board and then probably getting swept, I really didn't like it that much. So that's why I chose fire. I'm also a Mordred player. I really like Mordred a lot. It's just that either the way I've been playing him or the way I've been building him, I just wasn't seeing success compared to like just people playing Lorraine. So I felt like I had to just jump on the bandwagon, so I jumped on it. So here's the deck list. Starting with material, we got Spirit of Fire, level 1 Lorraine, level 2 Spirit Ruler for level 3. And then for swords, we have Sword of Seeking, Sword of Adversity. Let's move this over here. Oh, I can't. Sword of Avarice, Warrior's Longsword, Drawn Blade. And then for additional regalia, just to round it out, Orb of Regret, Sharpening Stone, Majestic Spirit's Crest. So the reasoning behind, I guess, Spirit Ruler over Crux Knight is that we're not playing Onsol. So that's the only thing that I would probably try to get into. This is a semi-budget build. A lot of the cards that I'm running, you can actually get them for pretty cheap. It's just that Onsol is so much faster and so much stronger than this build that I need to get into that if I want to play more competitively. It's just that I'm broke, so I can't get into it. But the ability of level 3 Lorraine to bring out a sword and then give it 3 additional counters, 3 additional durability counters, is so good. Because for example, say a turn earlier I go into level 2, I play some stuff so that I'm able to get into level 3 next turn, but I also have Drawn Blade out. I can swing with the sword. I really don't care. I'll get the draw off Drawn Blade first when I bring it out, use it. It's in my banishment. I don't care where until I go into level 3. Target Drawn Blade. Then I get another card. That's pretty good. Some reasoning behind the swords that I'm choosing. Sword of Seeking. Everyone loves this sword because it's a 0 cost 1/2. Nothing else to say about that. Why am I running Sword of Adversity over Ornamental? Most of the time I found that later game, mid game, probably midway through the game, I wasn't really seeing an ally out on the board, or I really didn't care about the allies getting the buff. It was more just so that I'm able to swing. So a 0 cost for basically 2, because if I don't have an ally out because I got swung on, or like I just haven't drawn into it, I love the sword. It's just, I might switch out something in this regalia in my material deck out for ornamental. It just currently, this is what I played for yesterday. Warrior's Longsword, pretty good sword. I think I might switch this out for ornamental. Even though it's similar to Adversity, just that I automatically one cost for 2 damage, 2 durability. That's good. I just like using Drawn Blade more often, paying the floating memory to get that, and then prioritizing floating memory and grave to either save it for leveling up or bringing out a different regalia. Already talked about Drawn Blade. Orb of Regret, great mulligan card. Shuffle up to 3 for banishing it. 0 cost. Shuffle up to 3 into deck. Draw 3. I use this mostly to just basically mulligan a lot of my cards that I wasn't seeing, or cards that I didn't like to see, or like say if I drew a lot of Crux in initially in the beginning, I just Orb of Regret. Even though you kind of want to save some Crux, there's a balance between saving some Crux and then knowing when to use it for cost or something like that. But Orb of Regret can't go wrong. These two, I feel strongly about one, and the other I'm kind of like I might cut. So Sharpening Stone. Originally when I was playing Mordred, I saw that a lot of my floating memory was it for my attacks in floating memory. How do I say this? The attacks that became floating memory in my grave weren't being put to use, only solely because they were only being used solely for Sealed Blade, and then once I brought out Sealed Blade, there was no use after that. I think I built this deck and then I found Sharpening Stone. Sharpening Stone is a one memory cost. Banish Sharpening Stone up to 1 target dagger or sword you control gets +1 attack until the end of the turn and draw. So things like, I found in certain situations I was at level 2, I had a Drawn Blade out from the previous turn, I hadn't swung with it yet. If I either dungeon guided this turn into level 2, I would have gotten Sharpening Stone out and then done that to the Drawn Blade just so that I could get that additional 4 damage, and then I also draw a card off of that. So it's just to accrue stuff, but it's just something that I thought of over, because I'm too broke to get GCR right now, and then I didn't want to run the baubles in the main material deck, so that's why I was kind of like on the fence about it. Now, Majestic Spirit's Crest, this is the card I'm thinking about cutting. Most of the time I found that I was almost in these 3 matches, it's not a good pool of like data statistically to say like, oh, it's good or bad, but most of the time I was doing enough damage at level 2 to the point where I didn't even need to go into level 3. It was just nice to have. If anything, I might, for this, I probably should run more. Probably I don't know, something about this card, I like the card, I pulled it. I could probably see this being more useful in a Win Lorraine deck. One that probably uses Combo Strike with Spirit's Blessing. That's something that I might think of, so that you could probably get, say if you stacked a bunch of Combo Strikes maybe. Dang, that is something I might think about later, but in this build I just didn't really like it that much. It was basically just a dead card, didn't really use it at all. I guess enough about material, we'll talk about main deck. We'll just speed run this, I guess. Flame Rune Swordsman at 4 Hasty Messenger, 2 Veteran Soldiers, 2 Strapping Conscripts, 2 Banner Knights, 2 Arthurs, 4 Fiery Momentums, 2 devastating blows, 3 rending flames, 2 savage slashes, 2 flame sweeps, excuse me, 3 dungeon guides, 3 deflecting edges, 4 creative shocks, 4 idle thoughts, 4 tempered steals, 3 inspiring calls, 2 cemetery sentries, 2 crux sight, 2 spirits blessing, 4 ascension, 2 infusion, and then 3 spurn to ashes. A lot of this deck that I found was just trying to get a lot as much floating memory using Hasty Messenger into the grave. So either using swinging with Hasty, discarding either Flame Rune Swordsman, a Veteran Soldier, Savage Slash, or Idle Thoughts, or a Tempered Steel. I found that that was the fastest way that I could get floating memory in grave. I wasn't really concerned about trying to have having these out on the board. I found that in the last match that I had Veteran Soldier out on turn 1. I went first. I just brought out Veteran Soldier, so they had to deal with it, either leave it out on the board, and then I really didn't care about that hand at that time, so I just leveled up using one of the cards. But a 5 cost 2/3 floating memory card, I probably want to switch this out for Honorable Vanguard. It's just that I don't know. The way that I found myself playing was that my thought process behind playing Veteran Soldier was that I wanted to have save cards. So playing Veteran Soldier was saving me cards for next turn that I could possibly gain more attack or gain more materials just so that I can do more stuff. What else? Strapping Conscript, so good. I love it. I found this at the last minute. I asked my friend for 4. I only played 2. Level 2 bonus 3 becomes 3/2, and it's a low cost. Pretty low cost for 2. Pretty good. What else? Banner Knights and Arthurs. Interesting about this, I didn't want to rely on Banner Knight, but if I did bring it out, it did do some significant stuff to giving me additional damage. It was pretty good. I just didn't want to rely on it heavily for early game when I'm still level 1 and I'm still trying to get stuff out on the board. Arthur, pretty much just a fire Banner Knight. The on-rest ability was useful at sometimes, and then in my second match, I guess I didn't clearly communicate to my opponent. When after the turn after that Arthur becomes immortal, he can die whenever he's rested. He stopped. It's only that one turn when he enters. So it's like she forgot about that and she didn't want to kill him. So it was like he's a 2/3 and he's giving he's basically another Banner Knight, giving it to like Hasty or like a Flame Rune if I played it. It was pretty good card. It's a good card. I love this card. All right. Here is the actual win con that I was trying to focus on. Fiery Momentum. Fiery Momentum over Rending Flames and Devastating Blow. Most of the time I wanted to do Fire Momentum, and then when I did, it actually did significant stuff. So just building up to Fire Momentum to get stuff in the grave with Hasty, or discarding stuff like just using it, Creative Shock, Spurn to Ash, just to use stuff. Fire Momentum is actually goated if you're not under Nullifying Lantern, which is why I ran 3 Spurn to Ash. So the utility of using Spurn to Ash when you're under Nullifying Lantern and gaining stuff is the way that I saw it was that I'm using fire cards even though I'm under Nullifying Lantern. My opponent, the opponents that I played against at least, they would think this is my win condition, and it was. And then most of the time I drew into Spurn to Ash and it didn't even matter that you guys had Nullifying Lantern now. So that's why I really didn't care. Fire Momentum, just such a great card. I love this card so much. Devastating Blow. Most of the time I did it like once in one of the 3 matches, and then it actually did the 7, but it's another win condition besides Fire Momentum to draw into. Rending Flames. This was actually useful. It was similar to Devastating Blow, so that's why I kind of kept them relatively close to each other, 2 and 3. Savage Slash, most of the time I'd use it either early game or I'd use it as discard fodder for Hasty, just for the floating so I could level up. There was one situation where I was where I would go Idle Thoughts, and then I brought out something like Creative Shock, discarded a Flame Rune Swordsman, and then next turn I somehow got a Savage Slash out, or I think I used it, and then I had basically 1 actual floating memory engrave from Idle Thoughts, and then 2 to go level 2 next turn after I level up. So that's pretty useful. I didn't see a lot of Ally Swarm. I didn't play that much. I didn't play against any Wind Lorraine or Human Tribe. I probably run more depending on whoever plays like more Human Tribe Swarm or like Ally Swarm. Flame Sweep, just really didn't care. It was just to get rid of annoying stuff. Dungeon Guide. Oh my gosh, dude. So I started this game earlier this year prior to the ruling. Honestly, the ruling is not that bad. It's actually did pretty good, the level up ruling for Reawakening. Dungeon Guide, I really didn't care about whether I saw it or not because I could get that floating memory out. It was just nice to have. I would either sit with this in hand and use it as cost for something. It's pretty good. I mean, Dungeon Guide, just level up for basically neg 2, neg 3. Yeah, pretty good. Deflecting Edge, like I said, didn't see that much Ally Swarm, so none of my opponents attacked me except my first one, Ensoul Fire Lorraine. Deflecting Edge really wasn't useful. This locals had just Rye players, so I was like, what the frick. Creative Shock, great card. Something that I came up was that why do I play Creative Shock, or why only Creative Shock? Usually when you see Creative Shock, you also see 4 Cremation Ritual and then Library Witch. It's just that I like that the concept of these two, just preserving cards for later for 5, and then Strapping Conscript, a low cost, basically just to attack. If anything, I'd probably replace these just so that I could do the draw 1, kill it with Cremation Ritual, but currently this is just what I built. Idle Thoughts, great card to do in the beginning. Most of the time I found this in hand, and then I just off the top, once I get into Spirit, do Idle Thoughts, bam, automatic level 1 next turn. Tempered Steel, another great card. Either when I would go into, when I was already level 1 and I already had a sword out, pop this, give it a durability, becomes floating memory. Just good card. Also, it's not locked behind class bonus, so it's great for Hasty Messenger discard fodder. Just great card. Inspiring Call. Ooh, I think I might bump this up. Just the fact that if I attack and I'm running a lot of attack cards, or a medium amount, the fact that I can get another card for next turn and then all my allies become +1. I found that there was a board I had a Hasty Messenger, an Arthur, and a Banner Knight out, and I was level 2. I just swung with a Drawn Blade and then play this for 1 and then played another one for 1. Just drew 2 into memory. So good. You never want to pay that 3 cost. You always want to find some way to attack and then play this, just so that you get the value. Cool thing about it though, it's also fast. So I found that playing this in my recollection just so I could do it, all allies I control gain +1. So anything further on from my recollection, +1. And I also draw a card in the memory and recollect it just right after. So pretty good. Cemetery Sentry, just another cycler. Not really. I didn't know how to feel about this. The reason I cut this down to 2, I put this at 2, is that it's not as prevalent as Hasty Messenger, only due to the fact that you have to discard a fire element card. If it was any card like Hasty, I'd run more. Basically, just another Hasty Messenger. It's just that most of the time, I just didn't find myself actually using that discard fire. In the off chance that I did, I just discard a tempered steel or a creative, not a creative shock, probably like a rending flame, because I was like, I don't want to banish a 3 because I want to do the win condition for fiery momentum. So I didn't know how to feel about this. That's why I just put it at 2. So my Crux cards. Excuse me. Crux cards. Crux Sight, great card. Basically recycles just recycle any one of these Crux cards back into my hand. Most of the time I found myself in playtesting, I found myself recycling Ascension because I had 2 of these in hand, and then I paid the 2 cost, play Ascension, or basically had an Ascension in the grave. I'd pay the 2 costs, banish this, draw a card, and then bring back the Ascension, use the card I drew or something, Ascension, brought out, draw 2, do the same thing because I had another Crux Sight, brought back that Ascension, do the same thing. Basically, it's a cool combo to do. I like doing. What's this? Spirit's Blessing. Spirit's Blessing is an interesting card. It's just that I'm not big-brained enough to like think ahead of the game, because in playtesting, I found that I had one sword out, and then I'd swing, and then I forget that the additional cost of this is you return the Regalia you control to its owner's deck, and then I couldn't swing because I basically just did this just most of the time just to draw the 1 card. Infusion, yeah. I found most of the time I found myself doing this just to do that +3 and draw. I actually would pay the 2 cost. It's pretty good. Ascension, oh my god, this in conjunction with Sword of Avarice, so good. Something that I've thought about, and I'll explain the side, but something I've thought about is that you can basically use Ascension to cheat out Sealed Blade. Sealed Blade has the text saying pay only using floating memory for this card's memory cost. So basically, the thing about Ascension is that you can just bring it out. So say for example, if I had Ascension and like at least 2 Ascensions or a way to get to use 2 or 3 even, something crazy that you could do, you could just go Ascension once, get the draw 2, Ascension a second time, get the draw 2, and then if you have enough for what I assume is game, if your opponent has nothing in hand, just 3rd time Ascension for Sealed Blade, and then do a fiery momentum for crazy. That was the main concept that I wanted to do in Mordred, but it's just I couldn't find myself to have enough to do it, enough either fire or enough floating memory to do it. Crux cards or level 3 Lorraine just carries this shit. Just you get crazy amount of draw power with this. Spurn to Ash, like I said, the main win condition we want to do is fire momentum. So it gains also a double use because you can destroy the nullifying lantern, and then it becomes a +1 because you used it for fire momentum. So it's pretty good. So most of the time I would deal 7 at least, not with a sword. I guess the sideboard, I don't know how to side for this game. 1 Rending Flames, 1 Devastating Blow, 1 Deflecting Edge, 1 Varuk, 1 Sealed Blade, 1 Bauble, 1 Safeguard. I guess for going into game 2, depending on who I was playing, like I said, the sample size of what I played, it's not, it wasn't good enough to like say like, oh, it's like pro level. But the reason I put these in here is that, say they figure out that I'm trying to do this, I'd probably side out another different card that I didn't see in game one, and then bring out Rending Flames or a Devastating Blow just to up it. Like I'd cut one Fire Momentum, put in a Devastating Blow, just so that I'm able to do that level 3, deal 7 at least. Just the attack, no sword. Deflecting Edge, just in case that I did play against ally spam. Luckily I didn't see anyone play ally spam, so that was about it. Varuk, honestly, I just might cut this. I don't know what to side for this, so it's nice to have that damage dealt, but since I'm playing at 1 in a 65 card deck, it's like trying to find that needle in a haystack. And the off chance that I did get it in hand, I'd find it early on and I'm like, I don't know, should I save it for later? Should I just use it as cost? I just didn't know. I didn't know how to play with this. I probably want to bump this up if I were to focus into this, but if I were to chain it with or like combo it with Fire Momentum, I just don't know how to do that. It's a 3 cost, but whenever I materialize a sword, sacrifice Varuk. So it's like I'd have to like big brain this into like, so that I get the most amount of damage without doing the upkeep. Like I said, next card, I love this sword so much, man. Ever since I pulled the foil Mordred, I was like, how do I play Mordred? And then this is the way. Sealed Blade becomes 3/3/3. It's like, what the what? It's ridiculous because you can cheat this out. Most of the time I sided this in for Majestic, mainly due to the fact that it was like I wasn't using Majestic, and then the game that I sided it in, I brought it out just normally because I had so much floating memory in Grave, and then it was pretty useful. Might need to do more next set because I might change this out for something, but it's too early to tell. Like I said earlier, Baubles, I just sided this in for either Orb of Regret or Majestic as well, mainly due to the fact I get an additional draw. I don't have GCR. If I had GCR, it'd open up a bunch more spots, but I don't have it. And to round it out, Safeguard Amulet. Safeguard Amulet was mainly just for Rye players. Preventing that 4 damage could do a lot. But since I'm playing a fire, like basically just do DPS damage, it really didn't matter. The Rye player, most of the time I didn't even use this. I just left it in the side. Yeah, I guess that rounds out my Fire Lorraine deck. Next set is gonna be crazy, so I think I might switch out some stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna take this to LA. I did acquire a list for like a Fire Onsole list. I might bring that to LA. Just the only problem is I just have to acquire the cards, so that's about it. Yeah, I'm not gonna plug any socials, but I might just put the list down below. Yeah, if you want more content, I guess just comment down below what you want to see out of me, or what decks you want to see me try to build or try to play. But yeah, top 6, baby, let's go.